Hey guys, sorry for lack of videos. I am stuck planning build after build, leveling new build, failing, leveling new build, failing, planning new builds again for the past week or so. So this video is gonna be talking about all the failed build attempts, all the sort of failed, sort of not failed build attempts, all the ideas that I had. I'll see, maybe I can pull some clips from Steam, but mostly it's just gonna be me talking. My last good build that I absolutely loved was Ancestral Protector with the with the Atziri's Disfavour. Already mixing builds with the Atziri's Disfavour. I absolutely love that build. Since then, I have done like 5, 6, and then plus additional like, I don't know, 7 build ideas that I tried to test in PUB. Nothing is working out, and I'm not even trying to compare it to that Doryani's, to that Atziri's Disfavour Ancestral Protector build. I'm just trying to figure out something fun that I haven't really done, maybe revisit something that I have done but add something new, and just nothing is working out. The first build that failed was Poison Toxic Rain with Covenant as a Pathfinder. I do not remember ever playing Pathfinder. Maybe I just started a Pathfinder and quit. But the idea of using very strong flask, for example, does sound cool, and having permanent flask. And this Pathfinder was super fast. I had permanent silver flask, then the quicksilver, and then the other flask, and it was so fast, but it just did not have damage, it did not have tankiness, and it was also using Kill Rain, Toxic Rain, so it was spawning a bunch of pods. Those pods overlap, the damage over time does overlap from pods, but the hit part for the poison to take effect comes after they explode, and so you don't want to stack too much skill effect duration, because then it delays before the poison starts ramping up. Like in general, it was a very speedy build, but then you have to stop and wait and watch enemies degen. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So I thought, okay, I don't really enjoy Toxic Rain. Maybe I can do just a couple tweaks here and there, mostly just remove some bow nodes and then use Bell Timbers and use Lancing Steel. I actually just learned a couple of days ago, or I guess a week ago, that Lancing Steel has up to 200% more projectiles if you consume 4 shards, however it was. So essentially, you want to stack as many projectiles, and Bell Timber gives +2 if you used a movement skill recently, so you just go with 2 of them, you get +4 projectiles, and then 200% more of those. So and then you add Lancing Steel, you get extra projectiles like from Dying Sun, and you end up shooting a bunch of extra projectiles and applying poisons. But in the end, I just hated managing the shards things, and then you click that button, then you have to wait, and then you are fast, but then you don't want to attack too fast because you run out of shards too fast, and then you have to wait a bit. I just hated that playstyle, so I quit that build. But then I thought, okay, I have Pathfinder. I had another idea. Voltaxic Rift, Herald of Thunder. I know that Battle Mage wouldn't work, so that's out of the question. However, I could still convert the elemental damage into Chaos with the Voltaxic, and Voltaxic itself doesn't really provide all that much. Well, pretty much nothing. So I spent quite a bit of time and currency reworking the build, that Pathfinder, into Voltaxic Rift, Herald of Thunder. And the idea was also to use Covenant. So inside the Covenant gives a level 29 added Chaos, and Hell does need the flat damage because it's not a spell, so it's harder to scale. And you don't need the Silly Gloves for the poison, so I was trying to do poison, and the damage wasn't looking too bad. I believe I had to use Corrupted Soul to split the damage taken, and because I was Pathfinder, I could use very strong Topaz Flask to reduce the damage done. Storm Secret Rings, because we do hit for 250 damage each time the Herald strikes an enemy. But then, in order to shock enemies, I had to rely... Oh, it was it was also using Self-Flagellation, and it was using Ilfaban's Trickery Helmet. Each time you strike an enemy, each time I would hit an enemy, it would also apply a random curse on me, and that would stack all the possible curses essentially, and I would be getting 180% increased damage just straight up 180% increased damage for everything. And I did have 100% reduced curse effect, so I was cursed, but I was unaffected by those curses. So that was the idea, to get the damage, to use the Covenant to get a lot of flat Hero's damage, then use like Wither Totem to apply Wither stacks. And in the end, the damage would have been fine. It just was so squishy, it just could not survive. Because all the auras are disabled. You cannot run other auras if you use the Lone Messenger Jewel, which gives you 100% more damage for your Heralds, and damage over time, something like that. So I quit that build as well, and I thought, okay, I cannot really make Pathfinder have damage and tankiness at the same time. I can just have speed, and I didn't really have big budget. Now I have like 20 divines. So I quit Pathfinder and decided to plan other builds. So I really wanted to do Vaal Cleave because stealing buffs, and then you can use like these Triumvirate Authority rings, and they are not very expensive, like below 1 below 1 divine for like a decent rolls. Mainly you want like more damage, but for Vaal Cleave I did try to plan a couple builds with Vaal Cleave, and everything looked very squishy, or it just did not have damage. I had some like really weird ideas. Maybe that's my problem, that I have like very weird ideas instead of trying to do something that is known to work pretty well. So the Vaal Cleave didn't work, but somehow then I transitioned into Vaal Blade Flurry, because Vaal Blade Flurry has been added recently. When you are channeling Vaal Blade Flurry, which only lasts for like a second or so, maybe even less, you do get 50% less damage taken. And when you combine that with the infused channeling, you get an extra, 8% less physical damage taken essentially. And then I can combine that with Arctic Armor, because I'm going to be standing still and channeling. So I get more mitigation through Arctic Armor for physical and fire, then infused channeling, then some other shenanigans. So I thought, okay, maybe I can do Vaal Blade for him just to see how it feels. And I planned a build, and this is the level this is level 82 Berserker. I decided to go with a Berserker. If you look at the damage numbers, they don't look too bad, and this is without, I believe, I'm missing this and that and a couple other things. So I actually went through like 2 different versions of this build. First was using Calm's Gloves to regenerate Rage, and which disables regen, but I went with the Bloodseeker, which has been buffed this league. It has more DPS, it has almost 400 physical DPS, and the life leech from hits with this weapon is instant. Now if you look at PUB, you can see that it says that I have 81,000 life on hit rate, life leech on hit rate, which is a lie, which I guess is not a lie, but it is very misleading, because I'm not leeching 81,000 life per second. So I got really confused and really hyped seeing this number. The actual leech rate is this, and it's half of this, because it's kind of hard to explain. You know, no one understands the leech. It has like 3 different lines to explain what it does, or maybe even 4, including the leech itself. All I know is that I was leeching like 500 life per hit, because the maximum leech rate is 20%, but per instant is like 10% of your maximum life. So I was leeching like 500 to 1000 life per hit, which isn't that great, and I was constantly dying because enemies can do a lot more damage than that, and my hit rate wasn't that fast. So there was like, I guess there was enough gap in between the hits to just eventually die and not be able to out damage enemy, out heal the enemies. So the idea was Berserker, like speed and damage, and then use Abyssus since I'm gonna be standing and tanking. The tanking is actually not too bad. This is without any guard skill. Of course the physical mitigation is kind of low, but like I wouldn't say that the numbers look that bad considering that I only have 4.8 thousand life. But again, like I said, I had to respect points and actually get, well, actually Vaal Pact is on the Relic now, just to see how it feels. And you definitely want Vaal Pact with the instant Leech Claw. So that was the idea, and it failed. It was very stressful to play build like this. So I'm dropping this idea. The second version of this build was using the Soul Ascension, and actually these gloves are really good for Sanctum, because all the guards are unique enemies. Like normally in maps you only get unique enemies a map boss is a unique enemy, and also exiles. And maybe if you can spawn like a beast boss, or sorry, yeah, I guess a beast boss, or the beyond boss, stuff like that, that is a unique, or breach bosses. But otherwise you don't really get many unique enemies in a map, so mainly against the bosses. So these gloves are pretty much useless for normal mapping, but for Sanctum it's great because all the guards are unique. You can ramp up those souls pretty well in Sanctum. Using these gloves was pretty cool in Sanctum, but outside Sanctum they are pretty useless. And once again, since I just played Pathfinder, I tried to implement auto flash sustain, because this was difficult to cap my resistances. So I had to automate Bismuth Flask, like have 100% uptime, and it is 100% uptime, which took quite a bit of currency and planning. The Everblast don't have 100% uptime, but it is pretty consistent and sort of reliable. I did go with these boosts because speed is really important, so I dropped this totem. Even if I move away from it, I still maintain that speed for 4 seconds, sorry. And I did go with the Prism Guardian in the end, just to be able to squeeze in more aura stuff, and Petrified Blood. Like in the end, it's just not fun. It's way too stressful. So I'm dropping this idea. Actually, after this, I tried to plan a Jugg, Doryani's Touch. Now this damage that you see with 50 shock on enemies, without the shock it goes below 4 million, and then also with 20 rage, and then there was something else I already forgot. There's enemies on low life, which is mainly from punishment curse. However, if you pay attention to attack rate, I'm pretty sure that people would just fall asleep every time I would try to attack an enemy. Although it would have pretty big AoE, but it's too slow. And this idea was also using Echoes of Creation. This is nothing new, but it has like really cool synergy. Echoes of Creation does damage to you when you exert attacks, but then use Eternal Apple to automate Warcry, so you don't need to worry about Warcry. However, you do need to have a way of generating Endurance charges to proc this. So this is Jugg. I get hit, I generate Endurance charges. Once it reaches full, it consumes them and procs all the Warcries inside it, empowering Echoes of Creation the next slam. And once this does damage to me as a Jugg, I get massive regen, so I quickly out-regen it. I also have Divine Shield, so I would also regen Energy Shield. And this is with the Doryani's prototype, Doryani's Fist. Doryani's prototype, not very high negative lighting res, but if you can get damage through other means, it doesn't really matter. However, this is not really like a proper way of building Doryani's prototype. You would want to go like Melding of the Flesh. It's like really difficult to cap your fire and cold resistances if you use Melding of the Flesh, because it's like minus 70 all resistances. So it's really difficult to cap your fire and cold res on a build that is pretty much full uniques. So I didn't go with that. Only got 2 rings that are rare. The rest are uniques. So that's not really good. It's slow, doesn't have good movement speed. The flash I haven't even added yet. Would have problems with dexterity still. That's why I'm using brute force solution. Wait, that's for intelligence. Yeah. Problems with intelligence as well. So I thought about doing this. I was this close of refunding this build into Jugg, but then I thought it's way too slow. It's not gonna be fun. It's slow. It doesn't really have much life, although it does have good tankiness, but that's with the Molten Shell active. But on top of that, it would also have massive regen because of the, well, it's a Jugg. When you mitigate physical damage and you would be getting hit by Echoes of Creation each time you attack, you would take a lot of damage and mitigate that and get massive regen both for life and ES. And you just have a bit of ES, but it's still based on the damage mitigated instead of the maximum ES, so it will still provide big ES regen, as I understand. And this is getting a lot of Warcry nodes, and because I needed Warcry Masters and stuff like that. Using Warbringer from the Forbidden Jewels. To my surprise, Warbringer jewels are very cheap. So if you're thinking about some slam build and you don't really want to go Berserker, but you want to be like a Chieftain or a Jugg, look into those, because they are very cheap, like less than 200 heals for both of them, if I remember correctly. So I decided not to run this build either. Next, I planned some kind of, what is this? Oh yeah, I forgot about another build. After failing Voltaxic Rift, Herald of Thunder, Pathfinder, I actually refunded that Pathfinder into Cold Blade Vortex. Like big speed, you run through enemies, you freeze everything because it was using the Rush Caldora's Patience, so it freezes everything, but it wasn't tanky. I just run into an essence monster, it slaps me, and then I'm dead. I cannot kill it because I'm like this close to enemy. I have to be very close because Blade Vortex doesn't have big AoE. I don't have enough duration for Blade Vortex to last very long, so I had to use the Unleash. Awaken Unleash is very expensive. I actually didn't even try Vaal Blade Vortex because level 21 Vaal Blade Vortex with 20 quality was also very expensive for some reason. So that also failed. It was just way too squishy. It was fast, but it was way too squishy. I needed to click Blade Vortex too often even with Unleash, and I just quit that. So like I said, after this Berserker, I thought about Relic of the Pact, and I thought, how would it look with an Ignite? The answer is bad. It would not look good as an Ignite Relic of the Pact. I did a Relic of the Pact in the past multiple times, and I love the playstyle, but Ignite just does not scale well. I'm sure that you can get much better numbers, and this is not fully optimized. I just wanted to see the baseline, how the Ignites would scale, and it just does not really scale very well. So I dropped this idea as well. Then I thought about permanent skeletons, and this is still on the table. I just don't know. The permanent skeletons with the Iron Mass and a Hidden Blade and Covenant. Covenant is pretty cheap, like 2 divines, 3 divines for 6 link, something like that. Using Alberon's Warpath to make skeleton warriors be permanent and follow me. It's not really needed, it's just pretty nice. You summon them and they follow around you, and they will die eventually and you just resummon, but you don't need to resummon them all the time. And Iron Mass Hidden Blade is cool combo because Hidden Blade continuously keeps proccing like shurikens, and once you hit them, it's gonna alternate weapons. It's gonna use the Hidden Blade and then the Iron Mass. Once you hit with the Iron Mass, it will enable this weapon essentially. So your skeletons will copy this weapon, all the stats, the crit chance, the attack speed, the base damage, and then summon skeleton warriors deal triple damage with this weapon if you hit it with this weapon recently, which is triggered through the Hidden Blade. So skeletons get triple damage, so you want to stack as much flat damage as possible. So the Covenant works really well because level 29 added chaos damage adds a lot of flat damage. And the Iron Mass itself does have an auto wither and an Holy Might permanent, so they would apply wither stacks. You wouldn't need like a totem for that. Automatically apply wither stacks. They have Unholy Might, so physical damage gain as extra heals, and not going for the poison, just going for like a heals mostly hit build. You could do like elemental and get like a triple elemental damage like these jewels. Maybe not even necromancer. I'm not sure. This is squishy. I'm dual wielding, so I don't have a shield. I cannot get like recover life on block. What is this? Couple of my items do not have life. Only one item has life. This one would be like 2 divines to get White Socket on a decently rolled life roll, Crown of the Tyrant. And yeah, again using the traitor just to have better flash sustain. I was messing around with our idea using the Mama's Embrace to... Let's not even mention that. That was another kind of weird idea that doesn't really function well enough. May still do this, but these defensive numbers are with the guard skill active. Yeah, you do want Envy and +1 maximum skeletons, for example. I actually even forgot that I can go here. What did I anoint on this? Nothing. Okay, I could get an extra skeleton. So this is with 9 skeletons. With 10 skeletons would be like over 3 million. This is without... This is with Reaper, sorry. 4 million. This is without Spectres, without Animate Guardian. So you could add more damage, but like tankiness wise, how do you survive? Bone Offering. So I went to get Glancing Blows to have some kind of block chance. It's not even life on block, it's just regen now. I actually forgot about that. But just thinking about how many things I need to click. I need to click Designate, I need to click Offering, then I need to click what is it called, the Predator Signal Prey. At least Despair would be on auto, Hex Touch, in the Hidden Blade, Hex Touch with Greater Volley and Despair. So in the end, it's an interesting idea. I think I may still do it, but I need to improve this somehow, I think. It just has no tankiness. And I think I would just say that as soon as I enter written maps, the enemies would just start ganking on me. Or if a single spectre dies, I would just rage quit because I absolutely hate resummoning specters. And I'm not sure if it would be tanky. I don't even want to think about using Animate Guardian, and like this damage is not bad, but it's also not great considering that I don't have tankiness. I don't know. Then I had a wonderful idea. Absolution has a lot of damage, and it's easy to get damage on Absolution. So easy. So easy. So easy may as well be Jugg. How about that? I could be Jugg and use Absolution. It doesn't really have much damage, although it does need optimizing. And for Jugg, Doryani's prototype. Doryani's prototype, stack armor, use Eternal Damnation, just like my Doryani's Fist build idea that I just talked about like 5 minutes ago. So Eternal Damnation, Doryani's prototype, stack armor, Melding of the Flesh, but capping fire and cold resistance is even like more insane. How do people get that? Every single item that can have resistance pretty much has fire and cold rest, and I still cannot cap it. I would actually have to use a flask, Purity of Cold, for example. Even then would not be capped. And I did even get, guess I did not finish playing this. Like the damage numbers do not look good. And the worst part is it costs 96 mana. And I don't really have much mana and mana sustain. So I don't even know if I would be able to summon Absolutions, because we have... Oh, this is also the Smite. Smite gives a buff. With the Generosity, it gives pretty big buff. Okay, not that big, like 200k. Okay, not really that big, because the rest of the damage numbers just don't look that good. So again, damage doesn't look good, and I kind of expected it to just scale so much easier. But the tankiness wise, I think it could work if the mana can be sustained, if you can somehow figure out how to get enough cold and fire arrays. But is it worth it? I am not sure. So that's the last idea that kind of failed. If you got some ideas or any improvements for any of the builds that I just mentioned, I just need some ideas that are not necessarily... Okay, I want to be able to run decently fast, move around pretty fast, have decent defenses so it doesn't fall off in rated maps. I don't even care about damage that much, like 2-3 million DPS, as long as it is consistent and not like mega conditional, it should be fine. I just want to play a build now. At this point, I just want a fun build to play. I'm so sick and tired of planning builds in PUB. I went through so many build ideas. Most of the good ideas that I have revolve around Atziri's Disfavour. I may have a slight addiction to that. So yeah, if you got some build ideas, suggestions, improvements to any of the builds, let me know in the comments below, because I'm really lost. And I know this video is long, but I hope that it still provides a value. You can learn from failures, right? I don't know what to do, because like I said, I just planned one build. What was the last? I don't even remember what was the last build that I planned. I think it was Absolution Jugg. I just went with that idea without thinking too much, because at this point I just get the idea and just want to grab onto it, and maybe it will work, because just thinking about builds and thinking what I want to do doesn't work anymore. I just need to do something now. I could just go play the Ancestral Protector that I did. I still enjoy it, but there's nothing else to improve for that. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.